Long ago, when the kingdom of Uganda was still young, the village of Bwanga lay between fertile hills and a brooding stretch of trees known as Ekibira Kyabafu, the forest of the dead. People feared, hunters saw the air inside was heavy. As it soaked with sorrow, old women whispered that the forest had no bottom. Walk far enough and you would step off the edge of the living world. Kato, a wary young hunter, lived at the edge of the village with his widowed grandmother Nasuna. She raised him on stories about the spirits, how they lowered the careless, how only respect kept them at bay. When feminine struck the Long ago, when the kingdom of Uganda was still young, the village of Bwanga lay between fertile hills and a brooding stretch of trees known as Ekibira Kyabafu, the forest of the dead. People feared it. Hunters saw the air inside was heavy, as it soaked with sorrow. Old women whispered that the forest had no bottom. Walk far enough and you would step off the edge of the living world. Kato, a wary young hunter, lived at the edge of the village. With his widowed grandmother Nasuna, she raised him on stories about the spirits, how they lowered the careless, how only respect kept them at bay. But when famine struck and the game fled the hills, Kato's patience thinned. One dusk, Kato ignored Nasuna's warnings. He slung his bow over his shoulder and slipped towards the forest. I will be back before the moonrise, he called. Child, she pleaded, the dead walk after sunset. Promise you will keep your ears closed if they call. He laughed, covering unease and stepping beneath the trees. The world changed instantly. Those still bright on the hills barely touched the forest floor. Long roots clutched at his feet, and pale mist curled from unseen holes. Even birds were silent. Kato tracked a diker's prints, careful not to break the twigs as he moved deeper. The trees pressed closer, their backs covered with marks like scratches. A faint voice floated through the stillness. Kato. He froze. The voice was soft, coaxing and unmistakably his mother's. She had died when he was 10. My son, it said, come home. His heart hammered. He remembered Nasuna's warnings. Do not answer, do not look behind. He walked faster, but the whisper followed. Then others joined in. Neighbors long dead, a childhood friend lost to fever, even the village chief who had drowned seasons ago. Their tones overlapped, gentle yet instant. This way, Hunter, we have warmth for you. The mist thickened until it hanged his legs like wet cloths. Shadows clinched within it, faces half seen. Kato burst into a clearing lit by an era blue glow. At its center rose a towering stone, black and polished, carved with skulls stacked one above another. And its base lay groans, woven mats, broken spears, the belongings of people who had vanished over generations. The air hummed, vibrating through his bones. The skull's hull eyes seemed to follow him. A tall figure emerged from the fog, draped in the tucked back cloth, its face hidden. It spoke in a voice made of many voices. You have stepped where living feet are not welcome. Stay, Kato. Lie down, your bow. The forest is lonely. Behind it, pale arms reached out. Then, almost transparent, yet strong-looking, they beckoned, gentle as a lullaby. Kato's knees trembled. He remembered the old charm Nasuna had tied around his wrist, a loop of coral shells strung with a red bead. She had whispered, if darkness hungers for you, throw this towards its heart. He gripped the charm, but the spirit song swelled. Why run? We know you're grave. You're hungry. We can end your wandering. The voices pressed on him like water. For a heartbeat, he saw his mother's face smiling. Arms wide, his fingers loosened. A gust rustled the trees, Carrying his grandmother Nasuna's words, remembered, the dead are patient, but you must be firm. With a shout, Kato hurled the charm at the stone. Light burst from the bead as it struck the carvings. The clearing shook. The mist screamed and tore apart. The figure staggered backward, dissolving into smoke. Kato did not wait. He sprang through a tunnel of trees, branches crawling at his skin. The forest twisted, trying to spin him back, but moonlight glimmered ahead. He leapt over a root and trembled onto soft grass. Behind him, the trees stood quietly, as if nothing had ever stirred. Kato staggered home near dawn. Nasuna met him at the gate, tears of relief shining in her eyes. She burned herbs and prayed over him until the sun rose high. From that day, he never again mocked the stories. He warned children who ventured too near the tree line. The dead in Ekibira ky'abafu are kind, but their kindness is a trap. They long for the company and they will wait for you to listen. He always remembered and he always told children about how he survived. His story in the village became something he could tell and something to scare off the children who wanted to go in the village. And sometimes on misty nights, Kato saw he could still hear faint voices at the edge of the forest, calling his name, patient as the grave. And that is the end of our story. Thank you for listening. Hope you enjoyed it. Please consider giving us a thumbs up and subscribing. Love you. Stay blessed.